Here it is, the tree of shame. Yep, bits and bobs, helmets, and broken motorcycles that have crashed over the years on the Dragon's Tail. So, interesting thing happened last night. I got lulled into the beauty and the serenity of the Blue Ridge Parkway, right? So I made a wonderfully stupid mistake last night, and that was spending so much time on the beautiful and scenic Blue Ridge Parkway that by the time I got here, it was dark. So I rode my first introduction to the Dragon's Tail was in the dark, in the middle of the night. Hey, good morning, folks. Coming out of the tail of the dragon right now. And, wow, would you look at that? Whew. So it's just above freezing. My tires are still rock hard. They haven't warmed up yet. And I'm taking it nice and easy here. But I made a mistake last night. When I was riding the Blue Ridge Parkway yesterday, I was just enjoying it so much. In fact, I'm telling you right now, unless you have a burning desire to come over here and ride the tail of the dragon and compete with, all sorts of rice rockets wanting to whiz past you at every turn, well, I suppose you come on out here and do that. But if you're just looking for an absolutely stunningly beautiful, and I'm talking, the trees were barren, but that road was gorgeous from top to bottom, and I rode it from Virginia through North Carolina. And I want to say that the whole thing, I had to jump off at certain points to go get gas because there's no gas stations actually on the parkway. And I had to get gas and warm up once in a while. But even in the rain, it was just absolutely beautiful. If you're looking for a motorcycle excursion and you want to just, take it easy but still have a good time and have a beautiful 500-mile long twisty road, that's the road to go hit, I'm telling you right now. But anyway, I was on it so late last night because it took me that time to get from DC to the opening of the parkway up in Virginia. Wow. Water everywhere. So you get just a little taste of the dragon. But last night I came in. Now that road is pretty challenging, and those of you that have been on it know. Those of you that haven't, you have to see it in real life to believe it. None of this does it any justice. You won't get just how immense that road is. There's something like 300 turns in a very short 11 miles. Your bike is almost never perfectly perpendicular with the ground. And even this is mild in comparison. You expect this is extremely mild. But I came in last night just before midnight, and riding that road in the dark is a whole other creature. I'm telling you. I didn't bother with recording and I didn't bother vlogging. I needed all of my concentration to be on the road and my riding. See, even there I was overshooting. I'm not confident with the edges of the tires yet. And well, I came in last night and it was cold. It was right at freezing, so you could see where some moisture was settling on the road. There was some residual moisture because it had rained earlier in the day. And then to top it off, there were possums or some kind of weird squirrel-looking creature running around, darting across the road. I mean, they're just big enough to cause you a problem if you hit them. And then on top of that, every once in a while you would get a car coming, and of course they'd have their high beams on, and I don't know what it is with people. They just naturally assume that the motorcycle rider didn't bother dumping his high beam when they come around the corner, so they leave them on until you flash them as evidence that you don't have your high beam on. It's so frustrating. So then they're blinding you, and usually it's in a turn. So it was, I got to tell you guys, man, that was that was the most nervous I've been on a motorcycle probably since day one on motorcycle. Oh, that's beautiful right there. Look at how picturesque that is. Wow. Great Smoky National Park. So anyway, yeah, it was very harrowing. And to tell you the truth, a great many of those drivers were not very good in their cages at staying in their lane. So you add all of that together, it was a recipe for disaster. I was creeping around those turns. I was in first gear just idling through a lot of those turns because, as we all do, you look where you want to go. But I'm telling you, when your headlight points straight forward, the direction of the front of the bike, and you're trying to look 90 or more degrees into the future to see where you need to go, you're not seeing anything at night. On that road, yeah, no. And now I'm outbound. All right, so let's talk about Tail of the Dragon Resort, motorcycle resort. I don't know I would call it a resort, other than there are a lot of playful things for motorcycles to do around here. Something I discovered by watching other YouTubers, and something I discovered by, well, basically riding some of these roads myself, is that the Tail of the Dragon, as intense as it is, there are a lot of other roads that are, well, quite frankly, easily as fun, if not more fun. This whole loop around the dam is beautiful and scenic, and still plenty of twisties to have fun. And I'm not someone who's trying to drag a knee. I'm not someone that, let me tell you something, on most of the roads I took yesterday, a talented rider could probably do 100 miles an hour through the curves I was doing 45 in. But I'm not trying to crush it here, folks. I'm talking, if you're a rider like me, you just like to go out adventuring and see lots of beautiful scenery and enjoy a nice road. Well, I'm telling you, there's a lot of roads around here to enjoy. You don't have to head to the Tail of the Dragon. I did, simply because, well, I'm just marking off all the tick boxes, right? I've done the Devil's Highway, I've done Beartooth Pass, I've done Tail of the Dragon. I never thought I'd be doing Tail of the Dragon on a BMW, but what are you gonna do? Oh man, rolling in last night, the temperatures being right around freezing, and I was, you know, I've got this new gear. I haven't quite worked out all the kinks and systems in it yet. I had glove liners, had my gloves, my heated grips. The knuckle guards provide some wind protection for the hands. And of course, you weren't going that fast on that road. But I've been on the bike since roughly 6:45 in the morning. And I went until just before midnight on the motorcycle all day, with the only exceptions being hopping off for gas or to use the bathroom. And I was feeling pretty much stretched out, folks. I was very stretched out, and to have that added stress right at the end of that journey. And then it occurred to me that Deals Gap is such a small place. There may not be a person on duty to receive me at midnight. So then I started stressing about that. You know, I have a reservation, but what if? Well, I got there, I wheeled around. There was only one other person at the motel there, and that person was trailering a Harley Davidson. And that was it. Nobody home. All the lights were off, doors were shut. So I started looking around, and then they had taped a yellow sticky note with my name and reservation number on it, and underneath it said number 3. So I went to go stay in room number 3, and sure enough, it was unlocked. They had the heater on, and the lights were on, and oh, let me tell you something, nothing could have been more inviting. Right at that moment, I needed to be off the bike. I needed to be warm. I needed to be able to drink some warm liquids. I needed to recharge both the batteries and myself. That was my experience coming into Deals Gap. Now, you know, the hotel itself, it's very old. I'm gonna say, you know, it probably hasn't been renovated since the 60s. So it's very old, and you know, they got some very cheap sort of that IKEA tubular metal beds with single mattresses on them, no box springs, stuff like that. Obviously, you know, if you consider the clientele that get through there, they're probably not looking at people who are there for a lot of the big comforts, right? But just as a heads up to you folks, and I will give them this credit, the place was clean. The bathroom was clean. There were no, you know, I mean, the linens were clean, the bathroom was clean. Everything was nice and tidy. It was just old. So if you're someone that likes rather new amenities, there's that. The one thing I will tell you is there is zero cell phone coverage in that area. Zero. The cell phone coverage in that area is absolutely zero. I have two phones. I have my work phone and I have my personal phone. 2 different networks, zero. There was no chance of roaming, no nothing. But what did come up was that they had the Wi-Fi password and the Wi-Fi written on the wall. And maybe because I was the only one there tapping into it, it was pretty quick. I gotta hand it to them. So I was able to hop on my phone, let my family know, and let all the folks who care about me know that I had made it safely here and that I wasn't injured, because about the time my GPS gave out, or I should say the tracking app I have on my phone for my friends and family to see where I'm at, by the time that gave out, I was about halfway through the tail of the dragon. So if you looked at that, all of a sudden there was no movement from Arizona RE. There was no movement. Wow, look at this. From Arizona RE in the middle of the night, and he must have hit some, you know, dark turn and is in a ditch somewhere. So I had to make sure that I was giving them a heads up. Otherwise I would have had to make a long distance phone call from the motel room, and I'm pretty sure those are costly, given that nobody uses old-fashioned landline calls from hotel rooms anymore. Everybody usually drags a cell phone with them. So wow, look at her pull. Oh, I'm at the downshift there, but I'm in 3rd gear and she's just grunting it right up. So the Wi-Fi was great. I was able to communicate through Discord and WhatsApp and some of those apps that allow you to make voice calls over Wi-Fi. Verizon does too, but it's not as solid as the other platforms. Then and then I got some rest, and I really didn't eat at all yesterday. I have some nutrition that I have on board here that I was able to feed myself a little bit and then just move on. And then, you know, here's where the downside of Deals Gap came for me today, right? So posted all over the walls information about the resort. Resort. You're supposed to see my in air quotation marks. They were supposed to have a breakfast grill and all sorts of other things going on, right? Yeah, not so much. So I've seen that one in videos where guys are riding this and pull in there and gas up and meet up. That's pretty cool, seeing it in real life. So I got up, and the thing said at 8 o'clock in the morning, which I'm an early riser, even though I got in late. And that was a couple hours wait for me. Well, it was a good thing, because the outlet I was plugged into for charging my cameras and my phone and the battery packs that I needed to recharge, that outlet, apparently after I'd gone to sleep, decided to just stop working. It was the only outlet in the room that did. Once I plugged everything in the various outlets the next morning, I got it all charged up, but that meant waiting around for it to charge up. Otherwise I wouldn't be able to shoot video. And so that was disappointing, and, you know, a sign of the aging building, I suppose. But I go outside, and the hours posted on the building are entirely different than what's written in the hotel room and on the website. So they actually don't open until 9 o'clock, which meant another hour. So I went over there at 9 o'clock to, you know, hopefully scrounge up a cup of coffee, and I was hoping to get some eggs and bacon this morning, but yeah, the grill wasn't going to open till 11 o'clock. Well, I've got places to be, and I don't know, it just seems to me if you're a motorcycle resort, you know, most people don't come in packing their meals, right? I mean, like me this time, maybe if I was camping, I'd be packing my meals. But it just seems to me that if you're going to have that there, then you provide, you know, breakfast, not lunch only. I don't know. It just seems silly to me that you call yourself a resort, but you're not going to have coffee or breakfast available for anyone first thing in the morning. Granted, you know, the room was pretty cheap, and I'm here in the off season, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm thinking next time I come out, it might be that. I'm thinking next time I come out, it might be that Fontana Dam resort that I might want to get with. If I ever come out. I won't mind paying a little extra money to be a little more comfortable and to have some hot breakfast. Anyway, I'm going to sit back and, well, basically let you guys enjoy some of the footage here, and I'll catch up with you as I get closer to my destination today. Well, good morning, gang. What you guys didn't see close of last night was I rolled in here at dark 30, and I'm here with Brian Glenn. Stopped in Florida, my trip across country to visit the two-wheel obsession and cigar obsession guru, Brian Glenn.
Howdy.
And right about the time I pulled up here and pulled into the garage, and I was a moment away from noticing that my tank bag was no longer there, when a nice sheriff's deputy from up in Trenton, Florida, called me on my cell phone to say that he had my tank bag with my wallet and a lot of personal effects in there. You guys can imagine how important that is. And I was low on gas with my wallet in the tank bag. I couldn't even head back up there and get it. Brian was kind enough.
After riding how many hours?
Yeah, no, I've been riding since about 6:45 in the morning to, when did I get here? 11 o'clock at night. And so after all that riding, and I was stuck, and Brian didn't blink an eye, grabbed his keys, we jumped in his car, and drove 2 hours to that sheriff's department to pick up my stuff, and 2 hours back. For a guy I'd never actually met in person, I'd say that's pretty stand up.
He slept good.
Yeah, that I did. And just some little proof here. You can see what the GS looks like, mounted up with all its gear compared to the FJR and the, is this a YZ09?
FZ09,
FZ09, MT09. You see how it sort of stacks up here. Still a beefy bike no matter what you do. Anyway, thanks to Brian Glenn and Two Wheel Obsession and Cigar Obsession. I had a nice tasty smoke this morning. I gotta get back out on the road. I'm sorry it's told so much of our time, but you guys, Brian Glenn's thumbs up all day long. Anyway, I'll report more from the road. Thanks.